introduce me. So I'm Lisa, and some of you will have met me before. And what was really interesting about the previous presentations is that sort of with my presentation, we're sort of summarising a little bit. So we've talked about, what really is sustainable food. What is it? And the definition is having a low carbon output together with reducing food waste. Now, food waste I will be talking about, I believe, next week. So when we talk about, what does carbon output mean? What's that? And it's about processes. So it's about having the least amount of processes of your food before it ends up on your plate. And so with this, this all sort of relates to sustainable food, all these issues. But I'm going to pull out two things. So seasonality, which is really important because, I can go down to the shop now and I can buy strawberries, but they're not in season. Where have they come from? When we eat strawberries, the season in Britain is during sort of June, end of springtime. And your school menu will reflect that. They're going to highlight what is seasonal and what's local produce as well. The other thing to highlight is just information and education, which is important for sustainable food, because to avoid those processes, which we said, which makes up, sustainable food, to make it sustainable, you need to know how to cook things as well. So cooking education is important. So is knowing what's in season, and that's hopefully on your menus, be able to see that. And then about food growing as well. And I don't know whether you can see that, but I've just got a little plant there. And you can see it. And that's going to go in my windowsill for some winter veg. So, salad. So that's important as well. Just knowing those things helps towards having a sustainable diet. It's also affects your planetary health as well. It's really linked together. And then you've got a more sustainable food system. If you're having a sustainable diet, it helps the planet and better health of the planet. For example, if you have good soil and the soil's treated well, you'll get better plants growing. They'll be more nutritious for you to eat. And then you're helping the planet as well. So it's all interlinked between your planetary diet and health. And this is going back to a little bit what Jess was suggesting as well, about what do I have to eat? And Jess gave some lovely ideas about that. And it is more fruit and vegetables and less sugar, as Dr. Mia was pointing out, more plant protein. And we've got the seasonal and local food again, and reducing waste. Now, I think as well, what we need to see sort of on your plate is this example. So what we need to see when we're increasing things is about half your plate, really, of veg when you're looking at your food, and fruit as well. So the message, eat mostly vegetables if you can, whole grains. Now this is interesting, and Lee did mention this about the bananas. So it's eating less tropical fruit and more UK fruit and veg, which is in season. But also in that is about eat seaworthy fruit. What does that mean? It means things that come on a boat, because that's more environmentally friendly. So bananas, some apples not grown in this country do come on the boat. And that's a good way of having a sustainable diet too. Now, avoiding processed food as well, because that has a high energy footprint. So we're talking about fast food here, so we all like it. However, what we don't want is to have all those processes going towards making our fast food on our plate, having a high output, a high carbon output. We don't want that at all. So it's not just about your health, it's also about highly processed foods having a high energy footprint to get that to your plate. And again, Jess mentioned about fruit juice, and we do want to see water bottles and using them. And there are schemes in Leicester City. There's a scheme where if you're out and about, you can refill your water bottles for free at different places. But I was surprised to learn when I was looking at this that you know, fruit juices and soft drinks are the third biggest contributor of dietary greenhouse gas emissions, and that's because they're processed. A lot of them are processed, and then you've got the bottles. Even glass bottles have to be processed, although they can be recycled better. So that's gave me quite a bit to think about. So the other fact is, if you can have a more sustainable diet, you can reduce climate change by 10%. And that's something that you can do. You're in charge of your own diet. You can say what you want to eat and how you're going to eat that, and learning all these things about food and food education. And 10%, that's not just within here, that's the world reducing climate change for having a sustainable diet. That's something you can contribute to. And then, you know, you can ask yourself your question, how can you help your school to design a climate friendly diet? Well, you can work with the caterers. You can have a school nutrition action group. You can have a look at the menu, and you can ask about having things that are more sustainable in your school food. And then there's a couple of things here that we can put up afterwards as well. And having a food waste audit, which I'll talk about next time, is useful. You can have a lunchbox audit as well. And for teachers, you can have a look at your school food policy as well, and make sure that there is a sustainable food aspect to that. And that's